Rev up your engines!
Well, here we go. Joe Biden says they're going to be pushing electric cars. He wants to replace the government fleet of 650,000 cars with all-electric vehicles. There's a big problem here. Well, one, where the money going to come from? And a lot of people are worried, hey, the infrastructure of the country's falling apart, and he's worried about putting electric cars in there. Well, numero uno, there's a real problem here, and we all know what's going to happen is if they get their way, we're going to be taxed with all kinds of new taxes. Because take the roads, the infrastructure. That's based on a gasoline fuel tax. People stop driving gasoline cars. The fuel tax is already getting lower because people get better gas mileage, they're buying less fuel. If they make everything electric cars, one, think about it. They don't have the money coming from the gas tax. They're going to have to tax you on something because you got to keep the roads up. Or you're going to have a bunch of electric cars driving on roads that are falling apart. And two, what about the infrastructure of electric cars? How are they going to be charged up? There's an infrastructure that really doesn't even exist. So one, we can't take care of our infrastructure we have now for gasoline cars. Yeah, add another layer of now we need an infrastructure for electric cars to plug them in and to charge them up. And as usual, the politicians don't have any idea of what they're doing, what they're talking about. They don't even think about it. They just start kissing babies and telling everybody it's going to be an electric world. And la-di-la, we're going to have fun. If you saw that thing the other day when they interviewed Buttigieg, who's now the head of transportation, and they asked him, are we going to have, raising of gas taxes to pay for this stuff? And he said everything was on the table. But then a few hours later, they did a turn around. Oh, he misspoke. No, we're not going to raise gas taxes. Well, if they're going to do this stuff, the money's got to come from somewhere. And as usual, it's this fantasy of the green world that's going to come falling down, and we're going to have all these jobs for Americans. Well, hey, they can't even fix the infrastructure of the roads we have now with an infrastructure and a repair system that's been around for a long time. Yeah, let's add an electric one on top of that and see how that infrastructure goes. I mean, it's just absurd with some of the ideas these guys have. They don't even think it down the line. Well, now we're going to have to build all these power plants and do all this stuff. Who's going to pay for that? And, then they always lay it down later down the line, put it to next year's budget, which is the big trick politicians have done for ages. They just put the budget into the future. So we balanced our budget this year, yeah, by putting all the costs into the next year. And they keep just putting it into the future. It's just another thing, electrification of cars. And of course, if the government has anything to do with it, there's going to be all kinds of problems. Just like them and the idea of Amtrak being a good idea. After they demolished the rail system, now they're talking about, rail's a good idea. Have you ever ridden Amtrak? Because I have, and I don't think it's that impressive. But here we go with the government telling us how we should be. Larry Bird 26 says, I got a 2017 Nissan Rogue. I had poor acceleration in cold weather. What could it be? When I try to accelerate, the engine makes a loud noise, and when the engine warms up, the car drives fine. Warmed up fine. So you don't have anything seriously wrong. Understand when an engine is cold and it isn't up to operating temperature, if everything isn't absolutely perfect, it will have a hard time accelerating. A cold engine has to have a little bit more fuel, where a warm engine doesn't. So you're probably not getting enough fuel. Change the fuel filter. Try some good fuel injection cleaner. Or if you want to go whole hog, pay a mechanic like me to hook up his fancy machine and do a pressure fuel injector cleaner, as in my video, cleaning dirty fuel injectors without removal. Scotty, watch that video and you'll see how it's done. Now, if it's not that, sometimes it's just simple stuff. A dirty air filter. Replace it. Worn out spark plugs. Spark plugs, when they're worn, the gap's bigger. They won't fire perfect when it's cold, but when it's warm, they fire good enough you don't notice it. Always start with simple things when you have a problem. It takes a second on most vehicles to pull out one spark plug. You see it's worn out, replace them all. Air filter, same thing. Pop the top, look inside. If it's all dirty, replace it. Always start with the simple things and work your way up if need be. Don't spend a fortune placing a computer, replacing fuel injectors, only to find out you had a dirty air filter. Always start simple. Moonblast says, Scotty, what do you think of the Hyundai i30 1.4 9 horsepower with manual tranny? It's on 220,000 kilometers. Change the spark plugs and one ignition coil. Change the clutch on at 211,000 kilometers. Should I stick with it or buy a 2015 Mazda with an automatic with 61,000 kilometers for $10,000? Oh, what the heck. Better the devil you know than the devil you don't. If it's still running fine and your kilometers, I mean, that still only means you got, what, 120,000 miles? It still might have a reasonable amount of life. What the heck? You're not going to get much selling it, so as I always say, better the devil you know than the devil you don't. Why would you buy a used car when you already have a used car that works okay? Keep driving it. Then if it starts to go out, yeah, think about getting another one. But you got something that works, you haven't had that many problems with, heck, keep driving the thing, especially since you say it is a manual transmission. The worst thing in the Hyundai's other automatic transmissions, you got a manual, so who knows, it might last twice of what you have on it. You never know. Don't go from one used car to another if your original used car is still working okay, and you're not going to get any money if you sell it. Felix48 says, I'm a 16-year-old and wondering if I should go into automotive engineering at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. Well, that's my alma mater. It's a good place to go for an engineering. If you're 16 and you're getting in, you must be pretty smart getting into University of Illinois when you're 16 years old. Not a bad idea, but you definitely want to specialize in electronics and automotive electronics. Whether we're driving electric cars sooner or later, all the modern cars are full of electronics anyway. So if you specialize in electronic automotive engineering, odds are you will have a good future. And you'll know all about electronics, so regardless of how things go, you will be ready to deal with it. Somebody's got to design the stuff. You know, I'm not an engineer. I don't design it. Sounds like a good plan to me. You know, most young kids don't have ideas that far out that they want to be an engineer. Hey, good on you. I think it's a good idea. Go there. It's good school. Vegas ATC says, can I have stale fuel? I purchased a 2015 Audi. It was my friend's car who was killed in a plane crash. So the car sat for a year without being driven. It had half a tank of gas. I'm going to replace all the fluids and put concentrates in it. What do you think of Chevron Techron? All right. Yes. Gasoline are like cookies. Both go stale over time. Cookies generally go stale faster than gasoline, especially if they're opened up. Chevron Techron is a pretty good additive. And you do say it had half a tank of gas. So here's what I'd do if I were you, just to dilute it. I would buy 2 bottles of Chevron Techron concentrate. I'd pour them in. Then I would drive to a Shell station where I would fill the tank up to the full with V-Power, because that's diluting the old gas 50%, which is also going to help. Then you'll probably find you won't have any problems at all. But if push comes to shove, you might have to change the fuel filter. If it got a little gunk, it could gel up the fuel filter too. Put the Techron in first, then fill it up to the top with V-Power, and then drive it and see what happens. Especially take it on the highway for 70 miles an hour for an hour. That'll help burn it all through too and get any kind of built-up carbon blown off too. Those cars are made for driving fast, so drive them fast and clean it all out. Don't Knoller says, I'm getting short voltage drops in my Mercedes. When the car's idling, sometimes it shorts out enough to reboot the dash cams, but not severe enough to trip any codes. It seems after I step on the brakes, I get more of these voltage drops. All right, well, first thing, you have to start with simplicity itself. Have the battery load tested. If the battery's weak and is shorting out, that can cause it all. It's a simple test any mechanic can do in 5 minutes. While he's doing that, also have him check the alternator. We can load test them in 3 or 4 minutes with our fancy equipment. If any of those are bad, fix it. They can be that simple, because it sounds kind of crazy, but you say you step on the brakes. When you step on the brakes, the brake lights take a lot of power. And if the battery of the alternator is not working and you're idling at low spinning, the alternator is not spinning fast, a lot of times that will cause stuff like your dash cam to reboot because you're losing too much power. Pray it's that and not a computer or wiring problem in that Mercedes, because you got an ML55 AMG 5.5 liter, and that is one of the most complex cars out there, and you could spend thousands of dollars tracing down electrical shorts. So let's pray you either got a bad battery or a bad alternator, or even something stupid like make sure the battery cable are on tight. They get loose or corroded, they can do that too. Well, for you big V8 fans, it turns out that Ford is going to be putting their big Godzilla V8 engine in school buses now. It's that big pushrod 7.3 liter V8 engine. Now, when they put it in their souped up vehicles, it makes 430 horsepower, and they're putting a detuned version in the buses. They're only going to have 350 horsepower, but they're putting them in school buses now. One guy even took a super tuned Godzilla engine, got 1,114 horsepower. Now, like I said, they're only going to be 350 in the school buses, but they're putting them in because they're strong, powerful engine, and they'll be able to pull school buses around. And they're more efficient with gasoline than the other ones. They're detuning the things to make them get a little bit better gas mileage, but have the power to pull the school buses around safely. And of course, they have them geared differently too, because the school buses, they're not going to be like the Godzilla race cars that they're putting them in to go super fast. The school buses don't need to go more than 55, 60 miles an hour tops, and most of them are just driving around. Maybe they're only going 40 miles an hour. The Bluebird Corporation that makes all these school buses, they decided, hey, let's try out this Ford engine. It looks like a good idea. So Godzilla is coming to a school bus near you soon. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.